It's your favorite host, Marcus of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today we are interviewing a star-studded celebrity. I found him for you guys. This man is a true diamond in the rough. He's been with us since the beginning. He's spoken to this is stardom right here. I got a real superhero. He's known for many films, many TV shows that he's been on. One of the most popular ones is Disney. Only the best of the best get on Disney, I feel. And this man, Mr. Devan Leos, coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage to spill the tea and give insight to what he's been through in TV, film, his history, his bio. This is homage to a great actor. And so we want to pay homage and what he's diving into today, what's new and exciting. He's in the tech space, the AI space, and we're going to talk about that as well and what this man is getting into. So help me welcome to the stage, the incredible Mr. Devan Leos. Welcome to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Can't complain. Great day. Very grateful to be on here, just chatting it up with you and seeing where it goes. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I've been looking forward to this interview for some time, like really some time here. And I couldn't have really landed a better time slot with you. I'm glad I was able to get on your calendar. But sir, he looks like he's still like 20, y'all. He looks incredible. What is your skin routine? Like, it's like incredible.
You know, it's funny that you asked that. A lot of people tell me they're like, if I look at you, I can't really tell whether you're, 30 or 19. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you just have your skin. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. The only thing that I can really think of is like, I used to get these like patches and stuff in my skin. I started doing like a plant-based diet and that helped clear some of that stuff up. But I think I've always kind of had, I guess, just, I don't know, like maybe that's perhaps one of the reasons why they wanted me to be an actor when I was younger. Cause I had that like youthful appearance or whatever, but yeah.
You did. You had that cool Johnny Smooth, that Grease Lightning hairdo sometimes in your photos. You are phenomenal. And so I want to talk about that. You brought it up. I wanted to touch on your acting career. It's been, I think, and I really mean this, I think the best of the best get selected to work with and in Disney. That's not easy, right? And I imagine that's a huge casting call to even be on a full-on Disney series. And so can you speak to a little bit about that for that young entrepreneur who has hopes and dreams of aspiring to acting? What was that like? Can you touch on any tips that you can share on what they can expect, anything they should have in preparation, anything like that? Any nuggets there?
Yeah, I think that there's truth to this concept that if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. I do believe in that. That being said, a lot of people romanticize the entertainment and the acting industry. They think it's all, glamorous. There's a lot more that goes into it, though, than just kind of showing up on set, right? There's a lot of, the way that I would describe it is when we think about different types of work, there's physical work, there's, manual labor, and then there's things that are, I would say, more mentally taxing. And acting can be one of those things, especially if it's, you're really getting into your craft and getting into a character. It's something that it requires a lot of mental effort. So it's a challenge. It's very rewarding. I used to be of the mindset when I was a lot younger of like, why do some actors get paid so much? That just seems like they're way overpaid. It seems like it doesn't make any sense. But then actually being in that environment and seeing the amount of just the work and the sometimes the stress that brings, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I can understand. And then that's why we hear about oftentimes people, going crazy or like doing weird things sometimes because it requires a lot of mental effort, and it can wear you down sometimes if it's not something that meshes well with you.
For sure. How did you regulate? Was it exercise? Was it the diet? Eating. When you first got into acting, what kept you grounded? What kept you, what did you do when you're on set? How do you because it's stressful. It's hours and hours. It's takes and retakes. How did you manage that? Well, first off, how old were you when you first got into acting?
So the first time I ever acted, which technically would be not professional, was in a play. I was 8 years old. I did Charlotte's Web for a playhouse in my town that I grew up in. Then I got into I got into film and television when I was 10 years old. So yeah, that was when I started. And as far as, I mean, staying grounded, it was because I got into it so young. It kind of became a routine and a program for me where I was homeschooling, so it was just always kind of like on the road going to auditions. And so that just was like my everyday experience, I guess. And there were some challenges, I would say, leaving that space and then trying to adapt to like normal life and whatnot. But I would say that family, spending time with family, and really separating, as far as having a mental headspace. And this is something that is going to maybe be harder for like younger people to do, but really trying to separate like that work environment and that character from your personal life. And so having a sense of who you are, and separating those two things, because if you're on a TV show, you're working every single day as this character. You're spending arguably more time as this character than yourself sometimes. So it's good to just kind of try to stay grounded in reality, and be cognizant of like, okay, when does the show stop, right? Like it stops, and there gets to a point where you're no longer acting anymore. So I think that's important.
That's so true, and that's thank you for sharing that. That's so true, and that's so significant, right? I the last play I was in was a high school, or not even high school, like an elementary play. I was a church going guy. Mom and dad made me go, and I had to play, one of the wise kings of Nazareth, and so remembering my lines was so hard. I practiced weeks and weeks and weeks trying to remember my lines for this play. How did you prepare? One of the most notorious, your one of your big highlights is your part in Mighty Med in Disney. Oh, playing every week. Loved it. You killed it. You were so funny. You were hilarious. Your character was it was so hilarious. How did you, but incredible, right? Really, you really locked it in, and you made the audience laugh, and you made the audience feel the that they were really there. And so how did you prepare for your role as Alan Diaz in Mighty Med?
That's a great question. I have always been a big proponent of method acting. I think that experiences, or having experiences, or truly getting as close to the role and that character as possible, living as them, doing things that they're going to do. For example, one of the episodes, I was like taking naps under the desk. That was what my character was doing. And so during our rehearsal breaks, I would actually go and lay down and try to, take a nap there, and just really get super involved in the character. And I think, for instance, if you were playing a doctor, it would be interesting to shadow a doctor, to go and get those experiences, to draw from like real life things, and to further, I guess, enmesh yourself with what that experience is like. I think that's, and then another aspect is just, thinking about it, right? Like logically, who is my character? Why do they act this way? And almost kind of creating a mythos and a history about them. So that's, yeah, I'm a big believer in that. I think research and method acting, I love those concepts. Obviously, there's a limit. If you're playing a guy that um, is addicted to drugs or something, I wouldn't, tell someone to go get addicted to drugs, right? Obviously,
Right, right.
but having, you know, like the idea of acting is you're trying to present a realistic representation of somebody or a thing, right? That is based in reality. And we often look at good actors as people who can convince us that like they are this character, that what's going on is real, it's authentic, it's believable. And I think one of the best ways to be able to pull that off is to have actual experience, to see what these, you know, if you're playing a certain type of character in real life, how these types of people actually act, so that your choices and your creative decisions are somewhat grounded in reality.
That's so true. That's so true. I think I remember an actor saying his family would get so annoyed with him because he would to personify that character. He would talk the talk. He would walk the walk, and even at home to really, because I think you're speaking to that, right? You're speaking to that. Like you almost have to figure out. I don't know how much they give you in order to prepare for your character in film and TV, but do they give you like, hey, you need to be sickly, or you need to be enthusiastic? Do they give you all of that when they assign you a character or tell you who your character beforehand? Like you need to, be macho, Billy Bad Boy, or you need to tone down and you need to be more introspective and more introverted. Do you get all of that, or do you the professional create that on set or before set?
So that's a good point. So to, you know, I'd like to clarify that, you know, yes, I was a fan of method acting, but I would have been so I would have it would have been so much more challenging without the people that we had, such as like the directors, the
Mm,
dialogue coaches, right? And so when you get a script, if you're auditioning for something, there's going to be like a character bio, and it'll give you like a brief little background about them. And then typically in scripts there's going to be like context, you know, interior, this is what's happening. And then, you know, on auditions there's typically along the bio, it's like, this is with the relationship, you know, this person is the boss of, you know, this guy, and he's like this and he acts like that. um, but yeah, no, there's dialogue coaches, and they will sometimes come in and be like, okay, so we think that this would be more like along the lines of you're incredulous would be, you know, and so that kind of direction is very helpful. And then, you know, the director is kind of figuring out the dynamics of a scene. And then, yeah, and so I think it can be both. Sometimes you don't have, you know, you may not have like a super hands-on dialogue coach, or there's different directing styles, and so those creative choices and decisions and preparation can be more leaning on the actor. But it's definitely a team effort for sure.
for sure, for sure. The man, the legend himself on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, Mr. Leos, spilling the tea on his incredible, incredible life and incredible career. And so, to s- stay in the same breath, I wanted to ask: can you share any memorable moments or funny stories from the set of the Mighty Med? I mean, you were completely incredible, incredible, fantastic. Your character, loved him, loved him, loved him. He was my childhood, right? I could see, me, and I tried to be. I really tried to be funny. I thought I was funny, but you really nailed that character. Can you share any memorable moments or funny stories from the set of the Mighty Med, um, Disney?
Yeah. So we went 2 seasons, and the first season we it was just kind of like we were, you know, we were starting the show, we were doing these episodes, we were gaining traction, and then the show got renewed for a second season. And there's two memorable moments. One is that I remember when, like, getting the call, I was with my friends from the show that we got renewed for a second season, and everyone was like super excited and happy. And it was just cool to see, like, because we everyone cared a lot about, you know, their craft and work, and it was just really cool to see everyone get so excited. The other memorable moment would be when I would go. This is kind of like a collection of moments, but I would go to different events at like the Children's Hospital or different charity events, and being able to make people smile, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's the you're the guy from the show," and just being able to provide joy and happiness to other people. The third, I would say, memorable moment would be because we started a second season. I had more bargaining power, and I had asked them to, in my set dressing room, basically install a bunch of mirrors so that I could constantly be looking at myself because I'm kind of a narcissist. And they did it. They did it, and I was like, I
Ah.
can't. But no, I'm just that's totally a bit. But no, but making people happy and just being able to experience the joy of other people, I think, is probably the most positively memorable thing about it.
That's huge. Are you still friends with any of the castmates, Miss Paris Burke, Bradley Stephen Perry, Jake Short, Ozzy Isaac? Are y'all still friends today? Like, are you still in contact or good friends?
We still touch base a bit, occasionally. We're it's crazy to think about. We were 15 when we were doing the show, and it's actually been about 10 years since the show aired. So, we're in our mid to late 20s now. Some are in college, others are working on different things. I know Bradley and Jake are doing a podcast, and life just gets busy. So, but occasionally we'll touch base and stuff, and I don't, I don't have any animosity or anything like that towards them. I'm just, hey, your life, we all go in different directions, and just hope that all is going well.
Huge, 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 huge. That's big. So now I want to talk about you have transitioned, sir. What inspired you to transition from acting to starting your own tech company?
Um, well, so initially in or around 2016, the show had ended, and I was kind of becoming disillusioned with the in front of the camera type of stuff. I've always been a creative person, and I love being creative, but I kind of wanted to step behind the scenes. So I had kind of said, okay, well, working with all these different departments in with Disney XD and other things, like what might I want to do? And so I decided to get into public relations and communications, and that's what started my entrepreneurial journey. And 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, in 2023, I was running my own agency, and I met two people that would become my friends, and they had an idea, and then they brought me into that idea as a co-founder. And it was an AI startup company. That was, the idea, and I was super excited about it. We were all super excited about it. We launched it, and that's kind of the short and, I guess, sweet version of it.
Absolutely,
But yeah,
absolutely. So can you tell us about undetectable AI, what it does, how it works, who is it for? Undetectable AI.
yeah, absolutely. Marketers, people who are creating any type of text-based content. It's essentially a way to make your AI content more human and to ensure that your content is authentic. So we have a free AI detector that people can use, and it will kind of like tell you if something appears to be rigid and like robotic, and then you can humanize it. So typically in AI writing, there's just the process with something like ChatGPT is it's going to write in its own voice because it has all of this data, and it generalizes all of that data, and then it writes in the amalgamation of all that data is what creates its own voice. So it has a very distinct style that people now kind of equate with a robotic style of writing. So what Undetectable AI, one of our main features that we do, is that we figured out how to create an AI model that can write like a human with the nuances of a human, um, with what we kind of call like perfect imperfection, in a sense, right? Like people are not perfect. They there's of course grammar and things like that, right? But there's certain stylistic things that people will do, and that is like the essence of what gives, you know, writing its kind of like flair sometimes. So we wanted to be able to make an AI that can improve AI content in that way, and that's what we did.
So did you have to train? Thank you for breaking that down. Did you have to train the AI to say to not only detect, hey, this is AI, this is ChatGPT, this is not a human interaction. Did you have to train it? Did you have to use yourself as or any of the other founders or partners? Did y'all have to train the AI to be more human?
Yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely. And so like initially what we did was we just sat down and took a bunch of our stuff that we had written, whether it was like stuff from school in the past or, you know, blogs that we had written, and we started there. And then we started, you know, going to other people and having them create data. But yeah, we wanted to find the nuances. So technically our software, it would be considered adversarial AI detection. So there's an adversarial component in that, like one of the foundational features and I guess you could say hallmarks of our product is that it tries to identify all of these things and detect it first and then remove them. So it's intertwined, right? Like they're dependent on each other.
Absolutely. So that leads me to the question. So let's go to the website here. I'm going to. I want to talk about this. This is interesting and unique, and it's never been done before. Which is why you and your team and your partners got in this industry in the first place. And so, tell me. So I come to this page, Undetectable AI. I come to this page and I type in a text and it can tell me if it's human, AI plus human, chat GPT or GPT-4. That is that because it says waiting for input. Can you how what do I do here? What is a user when they come to this page? What is the goal here? Like if I'm I see myself as a college professor, right? And
Yeah.
I want to know if my student is using chat GPT to write his homework or his essay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, can I take my student's essay and plug it in here, and it'll tell me if this is a human or Chat GPT?
Okay, so the concept behind AI detectors is how they work. Basically take a bunch of different AI, you know, stuff from ChatGPT, different types of content from ChatGPT and Claude, and then understand what the vectors are, and then assign a probability score to tell you what the probability is that these are AI generated. So one of the main things that separates our AI detector from others is that we have, if you notice on the website on the bottom there, there's multiple models listed. So when you'll go to the website, you take a text, you could take it from ChatGPT, or you could just take any text, put it in there, and then check for AI, and then it's going to show you according to those different models down there if it has a high likelihood, a low likelihood, or like no AI detected. And so that being said, if you are a professor or someone looking for that, and you run someone's, you know, homework through the AI detector and it comes up like AI generated, I think it's important to clarify that that's just a starting off point, right? Because these tools are still in development. They're not infallible. They're not 100% perfect. They're just kind of like a starting off point. So, you know, I think if a student's paper gets flagged as AI, that in and of itself is not enough to accuse them of wrongdoing. That's just maybe something to add to the context, but you would need additional context and data points to, you know, make an accurate judgment.
This is dope. This is dope. Mr. Leos, y'all.
I'm with my man Marcus.
This is incredible. This is incredible. Where do you see the future? What's the, can I ask? What's the goal? Do you want to be bought out? You and your partners want to be bought out? Do you guys see a future military application with this? I could see them wanting to use this to detect um, espionage and terrorism and all those types of things. Like it's almost boundless. And the way we're heading, AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Just like blockchain, and cryptocurrency, this is here to stay. What do you see the future of undetectable AI going?
That's a great question. And I think ultimately continuing to follow our goal of being able to create content that is authentic, that is human, and that has I think that has positive applications for sure, potential military, defense, different various professional environments, but also for, people use AI for a variety of reasons. Sometimes people are using AI as an accessibility device. We heard a story about someone wrote in and told us that like they have trouble typing, and so they'll like orate their what they want to say and transcribe it and then have like AI formulate it well for them. And so like to us, we we want people to be able to communicate in an authentic way. And also another big thing for us, I think, is privacy, right? So yeah, there are times when detecting AI is absolutely valid and legitimate, and there are times where I believe ethical disclosure is necessary. You'd probably want to know, if your doctor is getting your diagnosis from ChatGPT, right? Or that obviously.
Yeah.
But when people are just kind of like communicating back and forth, there are vulnerabilities in knowing what technologies people are using, because they could be exploited. And so some people may not want to talk or tell people that they're you know using ChatGPT. As long as they're doing it honestly, I believe they have every right to do so privately. And if they want to make sure that their use of AI can't be detected, but it's for ethical and honest, valid reasons, I don't see a problem with that. But we're open to working with, you know, uh, various sectors. From one that we explored was looking at how we can, potentially partner with academia in a meaningful way. Other is absolutely, open to defense and how we can, as an American company, continue to be ultra competitive in the Western market.
That's so good. That's so good. What are some key lessons you've learned from your acting career, and not just your acting, right? I don't want to just put you in a box, because you're bigger than acting. You're bigger than your acting career. Acting is something you do and have done, but you're bigger than that. And so what are some key lessons you've learned over the course of your life that you've applied to now your tech venture, that is, it speaks to the entrepreneur, right? That entrepreneur, that young man watching you right now, may say, "Yeah, I got that as a skill," or maybe I need to develop that, or maybe that's not my strongest um, skill set. What skill sets have helped you in your venture?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think analyticity, being analytic, is something that over time I have homed in on and upscaled, that I found to be very helpful. And when I say that, doing analysis, looking at why things, how things work, why, or like what the justification is. So if you have an idea for a product, say, okay, well, I want to launch this AI product that recommends breakfast cereals. Okay, so why do I want to do this? I want to do this because there's maybe a need in the market. Well, how do I know that there's a need in the market? And then doing competitive research and being analytical, I think, is super important in understanding the why. And yeah, I think the why. I was gonna say that, and the how, of course, obviously, but the why is really important when making any decisions. And I used to, when I was a lot younger, make decisions based off of primarily like, oh, this is what I feel is a good idea. And I don't think that's always necessarily a bad. I think there's probably certain times when that could be a good thing, but understanding the why and really having a good understanding of that going into anything is super important. And then for acting, I would say probably the some of the biggest things that I took away from working with Disney is brand, right? And understanding what it is to be a brand, and branding, and like what is on brand and what is off brand, and how to safeguard your brand and how to prevent your brand from being harmed, and having brand consistency. And then, of course, different modalities of monetization, right? So like Disney Channel, Disney Toys, Disneyland, Disney video games. I think for any entrepreneur, Disney is kind of like the epitome of like one of the ultimate business machines, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a machine. You said it the right word right there. Are you still getting paid for your Disney time and acting experience? Are you still getting paid on those residuals?
Yeah, I get like $1 here, $1 there, sometimes a couple $100. Ironically, I would say the biggest residuals I get typically come from Tyler Perry Studios, for the movie that I did with Tyler Perry. And by the way, big shout out to my dude, Tyler Perry, one of the greatest people I've ever worked with, just super locked in with being creative and having a vision and executing it, and having his own process that he's created. And also just a super genuine, kind person. When I worked with Tyler Perry in 2012, I got flown out to Atlanta to go shoot at TPS Studios, and there was like a gift basket. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, this is like the best I've ever been treated on a set. And I told Tyler Perry that, I said, I just wanted to say thank you. Like, this is really amazing the way that you've been treating me, and I appreciate that. And he's like, that's how you should be treated on every set. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's he's a good guy. I love Tyler Perry.
Round of applause for Tyler Perry. So, if you all don't know, Mr. Leos here worked with Tyler Perry on the movie Tyler Perry Madea's Witness Protection. The film, Devan Leos played Howie Needleman. And so Howie Needleman, the young son of George Needleman, was an incredible movie. And so that's what we're talking about. If you have no idea what he's talking about. And so Tyler Perry treated you better on set than anything else you've worked with. Wow. What was it? What he already had, let me guess, he already had the glass that you requested in your dressing room, or?
Yeah, he did have the glass, and I did the bug test. There was no like hidden cameras or anything, so that's another plus. But no, I mean, so Disney did, they definitely treat their people. They treated me fairly while I worked for them. And but what's interesting about Tyler Perry is he has his own studio. Like he is TPS, and he's in a very high position of power. But I remember he sat down and met with me, and he was just very humble in my experiences and dealings with him. Very humble guy. And I get that, when it comes to like Disney versus TPS, obviously Disney's a lot larger, but I think it's really cool to see someone who is so humble and has achieved so much, and really shows that they care about the people that they work with. So that was my experience.
I heard, wink, wink. I heard that he prays before every shoot at Tyler Perry Studios, or they pray at some point.
I mean, I would see that as probably true. That could be true. I don't know for a fact, but what I can tell you is that there was a church in TPS Studios, which was I mean, the TPS Studios were awesome. They had like sets, they had the offices, and then they had like a built-in chapel. And yeah, I do believe I heard something along those lines. And so yeah, I believe that, because there was a chapel in at his studio.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Devan Leos, y'all. We have to pay some bills. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Support for Gentleman Style Podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers you precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off free worldwide shipping with the code GENSTYLE at manscaped.com.
Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we are here in Patrick Henry Mall, Newport News, Virginia. We're actually here for something unique just inside. Something new, brand new that we want to explore together. You guys ready? All right, here we go. Here we go. Hey boss. Heard you were an athlete, man. See you at the mall every day. We are at Patrick Henry Mall, living up, and we are talking about CBD. But first off, the normal thing that we all deal with is joint pain, back pain, suffer from everything.
Neck pain too.
Neck pain? You got some neck pain?
All the time, man. I'm getting up in age, you know what I'm saying? We're not young no more.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Bruh, CBD helps with the exact same thing. Neck pain, back pain, joint pain, all the pains, everywhere pain, right? And so that's what CBD does. That's what we're here to help you and me do. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
All right.
CBD is one of the most powerful cannabinoids because all it's focused on is the health and wellness. We're talking helping people with anxiety, depression, insomnia, sleep deprivation, all provided. CBD works with the natural mechanics of your body without the crazy side effects of Western medicine. So these products are here to actually align your body and get it back right so we can actually have a better quality of life. And that's what CBD does. We are back on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have the incredible superstar, Mr. Devan Leos, here on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. He's spilling the tea on his illustrious career, and he's not done. He's in tech. He's in the tech space now. He's killing it, making moves, and really paving the way for entrepreneurs because he got that baby face, and he gives me hope. He gives me hope that I'm not too old. I'm not too old. It's never too late to start something new. And what inspired me about you, which is what made me reach out to you in the first place, is you didn't stay in the box, right? You went into something completely new, and that is scary. That is fearful. You touched on earlier having a why. So in this phase of your life, and I know you're not done, but what is your current why? Why do you do this? Why do you wake up? Why do you push? Why do you stay engaged? You could easily have fell off. You could have disappeared. You could have literally did anything you wanted, right? What pushes you? What is your why today?
So I'd say today the why is there's two. First is going to be my family, right? My family, I want to be able to take care of them, my loved ones, do everything that I possibly can for them. Like that's like the main one. The other one, the other why is my personal like philosophies and principles of how I feel, like the ideal version of who I want to be, right? And pursuing that ideal. Now previously, before I had, I have a son now, but before I had a son, and, when I had kind of like started actually falling off, back in 2016 and making some poor choices. And I realized that, and I was like, okay, I cannot allow myself to be having a midlife crisis at 19 years old. And then maybe like another part of it was that I kept imagining, people who would watch, and this is maybe like partially, unironically a little bit of like slight ego, but I kept imagining people who watched me and like who worked with me, like if they could see where I was and being like, oh man, you fell off so bad. And that idea bothered me so much that like, I just wanted to get out of it. I didn't care how many obstacles there were in the way, I was just going to keep pushing through until it killed me. And yeah, I just, I was determined. There were some times where I came close to like one, to almost like giving up, but just kept pushing through, and very grateful that I did. And there's still, I think, a long way to go.
That's huge, 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 huge. Can you speak to any of the challenges, right? Because you make it look so easy, right? You make it look so easy. Here you are doing one thing and you're killing it in another thing. But can you share some of the challenges so people watching this don't think that, oh, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. I have an idea because many of us, I think, have ideas, but you need to know that that idea may cost you something, and you
Mhm.
and that's why we talked about what has helped you in your life deal with building and being the one of the co-founders in this new venture, Undetectable AI. But what are any of the challenges you faced while launching Undetectable, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I think one of the initial that this is kind of like a multifaceted answer, because with undetectable AI, it's going to be a little bit different. But I'll start with undetectable AI. One of the challenges was that it was bootstrapped, right? So we were in a market that was experiencing a lot of VC injections and a lot of investments and funding, and we had decided to bootstrap the startup, which means that we had to, invest a little bit of our own money, and it was not a significant amount at all. I mean, it was, maybe a fraction of a percent compared to what other AI companies were getting. But we had to figure out how we could be competitive and how we could grow and scale and compete with these other startups that were getting funding. And how we kind of compensated for that lack of funding is what we kind of call like this philosophy of it's like a philosophy of time currency, right? So,
Hmm.
time is a currency. And if you don't have actual like money or monetary currency, you can somewhat to a degree compensate for that by investing more time into what it is that you're doing. So I think for when you're bootstrapping and you're starting with like nothing, the stress is really high at first, and then it kind of like evens out as things, as things start to as systems start to get perfected, and as processes start to get optimized, the stress starts to decrease. But there is a lot of stress in the beginning. Now, other challenges I think just in general in life regarding business is that one, I think, is that people don't realize how many challenges there are going to be, or they have this false expectation. Um, and then the other challenge I think that other people would face, or that I faced, would be the idea that like when you're going and like the why. I'm sorry, I totally blanked there. The why of the challenge, right? Like
Yeah,
why are there what why is this a challenge and how can I solve it? So like, yeah, okay, you don't want to be completely daft and think, oh, this is going to be easy. Like I'm just super passionate. I'm just going to go in guns a blazing and just try to do it. You want to be cognizant that, yeah, it's going to be probably pretty hard to do, but be more than that, figure out why is it going to be hard? Like what's going to be challenging? What are the exact challenges and how do we overcome them? How do we solve those problems?
for sure, for sure. This is big because again, business is not easy, and it's not the fancy cars or the Lamborghinis. That's after the fact, right? That's after the hard work. No one you see, and the people that tote that, I think, are just they're selling you a dream. Oh, you can be an overnight success just like me, and then here comes the Colgate smile, right? That's not business. That's not real business. I think a lot of CEOs now, if you ask them, "Hey, would you do it again?" They're like, "No." It's so hard. No, because I mean, are you a genius? Have you taken? Are you a certified genius? That's
My IQ is at about 165. No, 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 no. I'm full of joke. I'm
Whoa.
by no means a genius. I'm by no means a genius. By no means a genius. But it is fun to say that sometimes. But no, 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 no. I don't think so.
The reason why I asked that because getting into AI, some people may feel like, oh, I have to be a genius to get in. And I'm not saying that you're less than. What I am trying to take this home is that you can start. You can do anything
Hmm.
with the right mindset, with the right analytical skills, with the right motivation. One of the things that I see a lack of, and you experience this, having to stay up late and get up early and sleep underneath in a dressing room, not necessarily working long hours. You developed grit. You developed the ability at a young age, 10 years old, you developed grit to stick through something when something is uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't smell good. Why? I'm so tired. I want to lay down. I want to go to bed. I just want to go home right now.
Hmm.
You developed those skills as well on top of what you mentioned, but grit to push through when it's hard and not quit and not give up. And so that's why I asked about if you were a genius. You don't have to be. You don't have to be to do the thing you love and to work towards your why.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I totally agree. And I think that there's like philosophically like the concept of genius, right? And there's different types of genius, but if we were just to take like a regular definition of genius being someone who has an exceptionally high IQ. I read about an individual who they said had one of the highest IQs. His name was like William Slidell or something like that. They said that he had an IQ of around 200 or something along those lines. And he was reading the New York Times and Wall Street Journal when he was, I think, 12 or 13 months old, something along those lines.
Wow.
And he ended up, his IQ was so high that he just ended up not wanting to do anything. He moved away, he got a job bagging groceries, and then he ended up just staying home, and he ended up dying just on the floor, like doing nothing, not engaging, not doing anything. And so I think some people get it into their heads that they have to be like some super smart, like intellectual, high IQ, A grades, honors class person to achieve these things. And I don't think that's always the case. I think the discipline is absolutely uh, an imperative. And I also think that beyond that, um, just because someone picks up a concept faster than you, right? Even if you have to take an extra month or even 6 months longer to learn something, that doesn't mean that the person who learned it faster than you is going to be more successful than you, right?
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes people can get discouraged by their process of learning and feel like, oh man, this is taking me so long, this is difficult, maybe I just can't do it. But I would encourage people to just continuing to develop their skills and not to necessarily compare themselves to other people who are in completely different situations and mind states than they are.
So true. One of the concepts that is not new. It's not a new concept, but I think we need to explore it as a society more. Is I think you had mentioned you were homeschooled for a time, or maybe the entire time. But one of the concepts in homeschooling is when you're homeschooled or when you're homeschooling a child or a young teenager, if they're not strong at a particular subject, you don't. The beauty of it is you just set it to the side.
Hmm.
Whereas traditional schooling, you have to keep pace with your peers. And so if you don't keep pace or you don't learn at the same speed as everyone else, you're now falling behind. You now may have to start the class over or take the class over, be held back. Whereas now there really kind of pushes, and we see this at the higher levels with Mark Zuckerberg's kids and Elon Musk's kids and Tesla. They're working on schools and developing curriculums where, hey, you're not good at this thing. Let's set that to the side. What are you naturally good at, or what do you enjoy, and let's just stick right there and just
Hmm.
continue to push and nurture and develop the things you already are good at, and we'll address this later on. And so in the homeschool model, if in traditional schooling, if you don't learn something by a certain age, you're considered held back. Whereas homeschool, you just set it to the side, and if it means, hey, he or she is not ready for this level of math at 6 years old, let's wait till he's 7. Let's wait till he's 8. Let's wait till he's 9. And we'll just keep trying, but at different stages. And you remove that pressure of having to compete with your peers versus just learn and work on your strengths. And so I hope we continue to explore that. And I think that needs further exploration, because why focus on what you're not good at?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I beating you to death, or punishing you, or penalizing you because you don't like this right now, and you don't need it right now. So let's put it to the side. Huge fields of thought. Huge fields. I want to ask this question: how do you think technology is changing the entertainment industry? Is it for the better? Is it for the worse? I've heard talks. I don't know how true it is, but I've heard talks about using artificial intelligence to create a persona of you. So let's take you. You got that Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man look right now, right? So you got the glasses, you got the hair, right? And they're gonna take you and turn you into an artificial character or
Mm-hmm.
avatar. And we're gonna make movies with your avatar. And now that's society moving forward. But it removes the professional, the expert, the you who's been in acting, and you've taken my voice. Like you can write an entire song with artificial intelligence and use some famous celebrity's voice and put it on that song, and now you have a completely new song on TikTok. There were complete AI characters that were developed, and someone's running behind the scenes, but it's AI. It's all AI. It's not a real person. It's not a real girl. It's not a real guy. And
Yeah.
so, where do you feel we're transitioning to in entertainment, in the entertainment space?
Yeah, well, I think when it comes to technology, it's always inevitable that there are going to be shifts in how we do things and displacements, right? As technology becomes better, and we have things like as if Amazon starts having more like self-driving cars, that's unfortunately going to lead to some people, less physical drivers on the road, maybe less jobs, and that's unfortunate. But there's also, I think, positive applications. I think that AI can augment, and it often does augment, professionals to be able to accomplish more in a shorter period of time, which I think, when approached with balance and nuance, is absolutely a good thing. The danger is relying on it too heavily and using it as a crutch, I think. So I think finding a balance, I think there's going to be negative. There could be negative outcomes and positive ones. It's really about. It's not. I don't think it's. I think to say that it would be one way or the other would kind of be a false dichotomy. There's going to be pros and cons as AI continues to become more heavily used in society. There's going to be pros and cons. I think probably, what we need to be doing is educating ourselves on it, and they need to be studying there needs to be like some academic studies done and some research done about how, like, what the best way to use AI is, so that we're, and studying like the bad way to use it, as far as like, oh, well, it turns out if you use it for this many hours a day, it actually decreases productivity. But if you use it this way, it increases it by X amount. I think that's going to be very important, and that's huge. But we are moving towards a incredibly digital world that is like, we thought we were living in a digital world 10 years ago, because
Yeah.
we kind of were, but now it's going to be completely different.
Yeah.
With VR and AI generated people, and it's just,
The
yeah.
verses, the metaverses, the it's and to your point where you touched on driverless vehicles. Here's my rebuttal, and all the truck drivers will probably send hate mail. Is artificial intelligence going to replace you? Maybe it could, if you let it.
Mhm.
Right? So what needs to happen, and what I'm an advocate for, is, hey, if the driver can stay at home and still be involved with that vehicle from home, I think that's a better outcome. And I think any driver would not be against any over the road truck driver would not be against that, unless you just hate your family, you hate your wife, and you just love being on the road. But for those that love their whole household, what needs to happen is you need to learn a new set of skills. You need to be retrained, and maybe even take on some of that accountability and train yourself and go forward and say, okay, we're going to autonomous vehicles. They're probably not going to need drivers, but what they are going to need is technicians. They are going to need drone pilots. They are going to need people who are certified to operate this autonomous vehicle and monitor this autonomous vehicle. And so what that means for you, i.e. truck driver, is you need to learn and grow and get some new skills. That's all. And so technology still moves forward, life still moves forward, and you're moving with it, versus saying, oh, we should never change. It's not a bad thing. It allows you the opportunity. It allows you the obesity rate in the trucking industry is ridiculous. Well, what if you could be at the gym and monitor your truck from an iPad?
Yeah.
That's a win. That's a win for society. That's a win for the logistics company. And oh, by the way, since you're the technician on that vehicle, you still get paid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I can even imagine like something like a security guard in the future when they have these they're developing these robots that you basically have someone who's wearing a virtual reality headset and has like controls, and they can move the hands and do all this stuff. And I can envision a world in the future, in the not too distant future, where like you can be a security guard in the comfort of your own home without exposing yourself to danger, and while you're, doing your duties or whatever. And who knows, I mean, they could even go as far with like AI augmentation to kind of like gamify it, so it looks like you're in Minecraft, but you still have like a full view, so you could see, instead of someone looking like just like the normal person, you see them as like a, I don't know, another character or something. Like there's so many different ways that it could be implemented. I agree.
Absolutely. Huge. This has been an incredible conversation. I'm starstruck right now. I've been starstruck all show. I hope you all, I've been stuttering and mumbling, but I've been pushing through. Mr. Devon.
It was great. It was great.
You are incredible, sir.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, you're an incredible host. I really appreciate you keeping the conversation moving along, and the questions are great. Thank you.
Absolutely. I wanna cheat right now. You've shared so many nuggets, so many insightful tips, so much inspiration and wisdom. If you had one more nugget in the hat to give to that young boy, that young girl that wants to give up, their back is against the wall, they don't know if they can make it, they don't know if their new venture or even getting started on a new venture is the right time, what would you say to them watching this right now?
Always remember that things that like the outcome of things are all based in probability, and that what you want and what you desire could be tomorrow. You could be one day away from it, and even if like the probability is there's a 99% chance that won't be the case, there still exists that 1% chance, because that 1%, or even less than 1%, even 0.5% exists, that you could achieve that thing, or that things could turn around, right? You should just keep going and never give up. Figure out what the roadblocks are, and even in the face of great adversity, never give up, because you can never be certain that you won't overcome something. Oh, and lastly, yeah. You can never be certain that you won't overcome something. And the worst thing that you can do, the absolute worst thing you can do, is get into a mindset where you think that it's pointless, it's going to fail, it's done, I can't do it anymore. Because if you set yourself up to fail, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So get away from that.
Thanks. Huge. Thank you, sir. I want to say this to you publicly. Never quit. Keep going. We need you. The world needs you. Absolutely. How can we connect? How can my audience follow you? How can we connect? How can we learn more? The train has left the station, but it's not too late for them to hop on board to what you're doing. How can people connect with you?
The Devan Leos, that's TheDevanLeos on Instagram, on TikTok, and on LinkedIn, or sorry, on X or Twitter, and then just Devan Leos on LinkedIn. I'm always, shoot me a message. Always happy to connect with people. Super dope.
Connect. We gotta let this incredible man go. This legend. he has many more things to achieve in this lifetime. But we gotta let him go. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and the incredible, super fragilistic espialidocious Devan Leos. Signing off.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Love you guys. Bye.